Welcome to today's session. It's yet another Soul Food Sunday, and of course, pre-recorded as usual, because nowadays I got a little bit tied up on some Sunday sessions, but don't worry, we still get to learn what we want to learn, and we continue to engage. And in fact, one thing I would request most of you to do, not the few who are doing it, it's commenting and giving feedback, because that's the only way we can have better interactions with more content. And in fact, one thing I would want to do is definitely to address what you're looking for. Because if you don't comment, I'm assuming that what I've given you is enough. But the only way you can get more is perhaps to get in touch and ask for something, ask a question, comment, appreciate, ask question, any question that you have in mind. Because this is a session when we share ideas, and definitely it's for our own growth, in our lifestyle growth, in business, and so on and so forth. So today we will continue where we stopped last time. Last time we started on budgeting, and we covered a number of areas, the top 5 steps. And today we'll cover the next 5, because there are a total of 10 steps on how you can do effective budgeting. And one thing we also clarified is that money is not evil, money is good. So for you to be able to get value from your money, you've got to change your mindset. And we spoke about that in our last session. So if you haven't watched that session, please click on that pop-up at the top, so that you're able to first watch that session, and then you come to this next one, because this one will just continue from number 6 up to number 10. The other thing is that number 1 up to number 5 that we discussed, we said that you need to first determine your objectives for budgeting. The next thing is that you need to analyze your spend. And the third thing is you need to analyze your income sources, come up with that total, compare with what you have in your expenses, and ensure that your expenses are either equal to or less than your total income. Then we said, from there, continue tracking your expenses, because you may need to keep adjusting for the next few months until you're comfortable that you have a figure, a solid figure for expenses, and you've definitely taken care of all your income that you're getting to be able to manage your lifestyle. So this is a budget, yes, as much as it gives you some roadmap on how to sort out your lifestyle, it is not stuck on stone. Definitely you can adjust 1 or 2 items here and there as you move along. But if I were you, I would do this once a year, maybe at the beginning of the year, or maybe at the end of the year, and plan for the next year. For example, right now we are at the end of this year, we're in November. You should actually be doing a budget for your 2022, and that should be based on your spend this year and how you experienced both income and expense, and what you really want to achieve and adjust in the coming year. Because in life, definitely you have to keep improving and adjusting 1 or 2 things to be able to live that freedom lifestyle, or that fabulous lifestyle that we keep talking about. All right, so the 5th one we talked about was personal financial goals that you need to articulate and write them down somewhere, so that you are able to follow through and be able to know where your money is going. Because one thing we learned last time is, if you do not know where your money goes, then you're really living a chaotic life, and it can only get worse. So the best thing is to adjust that and start living a much, much, much better life. So let me display these slides so that we can start on today's session. All right, I hope you can see what I have on screen. So as I said, we are looking at the next 5 steps, that is number 6 up to number 10. So this will be a total of 10 steps. So the 6th step is set a saving plan. We talked about in our first session, the first video, how do you actually come up with a saving plan? Because you need to save, invest, or earn more, or a combination of both, in order to achieve your financial goals. In other words, don't just set goals that are tied to the income that you have. If you feel there's a goal that you want to set, but you do not have the income yet, You can put it there and then look for ways of earning more money. You can do a freelancing job. You can help somebody for some money. You can volunteer somewhere, showcase your business, and you do one pro bono job. And then from the next job, you start charging. Just be innovative in ways that you can earn extra money, but do not actually forget or put aside some very critical goals that are going to change your lifestyle. Just look for ways either to reduce on spend or to earn more money. For me, I usually go for earning more money. If I need to actually achieve a certain goal, I will do whatever it takes to be able to find a new income stream. And that is one thing that I always talk about. Having more than one income streams is the best thing that you can do, right? You know, you're always told that most of the richest people in the world have several income streams. And in fact, they have a minimum of 7. I'm told Richard Branson has hundreds of different types of, income streams. Yeah, he knows how he manages, but you always have to start somewhere. Start with one business, it grows, it stabilizes, then you go to the next one, and then you're able to start achieving your financial goals and achieve your dreams as you perceive them to be. The next thing is allocate each goal a financial target. All right. So in fact, when you're creating those goals, create maybe 5 to 10 goals to achieve in the next 12 to 24 months. Once you write them down, and then you have a rough idea of how much money it would require to achieve them, then from there, start looking at your income. Is it able to achieve? Then whatever is left, or rather, if you match with the income that you have minus expenses, then are you able to take care or to achieve those goals that you have? Then if that money is not enough, that is what I'm talking about. Please look for ways of earning more. There are many, many ways. And in fact, since the year 2020, 2021, a lot of things have opened up, and you're able now to even get a job even outside your country or your local position. Reason being that with the internet and with this globalization, with innovations that are coming up, people are no longer looking for those who have the degrees and PhDs. They're looking for someone who can deliver what they're looking for. So you just need to go online. There are many places you can do freelancing job. There is a place like Fiverr, Upwork, and Freelancer itself. Yeah, those are places that you can go put in your CV and, write what you do and start marketing yourself so that you're able now to get jobs globally. There are many other different ways that you can earn money. So those gigs are there, all right? You can also support people in their local community. If there are these upcoming people like coaches, there's a lot of coaching coming up. Coaches require, virtual assistants. They require, support in perhaps building a website, and many other people who are coming up, that individuals. So long as you have a skill, do not be worried. You can earn as much money as you want. It's all limited by how much you can think outside the box. All right, if there is any box, in any case, I normally don't think there is any box. So the other item is that allocate specific saving amounts with a roadmap. So even if you say that I want a house worth 10 million in the next 10 years, this is the example that I've been giving since the first lesson. This is the third lesson. What is the roadmap? Don't forget, to reach a certain destination, you've got to take the first step and make sure your GPS is well positioned so that you can actually get to that destination. So what is that roadmap? What are those steps? What are those activities that you need to do to be able to get to that destination? You've got to create them and write them in detail. So this is the issue here. You have a target to build this house. You have the amount it will cost to build that house. You have the money you need to contribute to your to that budget per month, per year, for those number of years. Then how are you going to create that money? How are you going to get that income per month? What are the activities? What do you need? Yeah. Do you need to do an extra job? Do you need to save a little bit more and cut on spend? Do you need to take a freelancing job somewhere, to get a new stream of income? Do you need a coach, a mentor to actually help you get clarity on how you can achieve that goal? Perhaps that would be a first step. In fact, I would recommend that. What is this that you really require to be able to see that goal come to realization? Because when you set these goals, it's not a wish list. You've got to be serious with life, all right? So the other thing is that include your taxes and contingencies. I think we discussed that last time. And the last one is the one I've just mentioned. You need a coach or a mentor or a professional advice to be able to get there. I always advocate for any professional advice. If it's a financial advisor, please get a professional who can advise you. Don't go knocking your neighbors and asking them the ideas. If they don't have that qualification, they have never achieved such a similar thing in the past, then they are not good advisors. Most people actually, in fact, will give you information that will not even be useful because they don't have the know-how. So be very careful who you ask for advice from, because some people also will, because they don't have information, they might even mislead you. So go for professionals. You might pay a fee, but that fee will be worth it because at the end of the day, you'll be able to hit your target. So just operate above the level that you've been operating in the past to be able to achieve your goals. The seventh item is to prepare your budget. Definitely, we talked about the 50% of needs, 30% of wants, and 20% of savings and investments. So just decide what kind of budget do you need. Is it a zero-based budget or it's a 50-30-20 budget, right? Zero-based is where the income equals expenses, but 50-30-20 budget, we've discussed it in the past. In fact, in quite a number of videos, you can just revise that, but you can just, in fact, on this particular slide, you can see what 50 means, what 30 means, and what 20 means. Then automate all your savings immediately. If it's this house that you want to buy, automate that deposit immediately. The moment you get your income at the end of the month, or whenever you get, if it's a job you do and you're paid every week, make sure that even you get that money out of your current account immediately to the savings account where you're actually saving for that particular goal. Review your lifestyle habits to find best budget for your needs. Yes, because sometimes, as we say, we may have needs, but it depends on where you shop. There was a time actually, I was speaking with my daughters. Actually, they're my business advisors sometimes, because I also like to mentor them to think business-wise. And we're talking about where do we buy our groceries? And we entered the supermarket, one of the supermarkets in Nairobi, and we bought everything and even bought actually the groceries themselves and went home. And then we went to a nearby place where a young guy had started a grocery shop. He had very nice, fresh greens, cabbages and everything. And the prices were actually a quarter of what we had bought at the supermarket. And we asked ourselves, is it better to buy from this young man who is actually has fresh product? And, even if we are going to go to this guy, after coming from the supermarket, we visit this guy, I think it's much better. And that actually reduced our grocery, budget significantly. So be careful where you buy what. I'm not saying that you buy substandard products. It's just that you need to do a thorough check on what you buy where. All right? Because some places are more expensive than others for no good reason, right? But I'm also saying that that doesn't mean that you ignore 100% those expensive places. You really want to buy there and you have the budget for it, well and good, go for that. But it's all up to you. If you're really looking for ways of minimizing your spend and maximizing your savings so that you can achieve your targets, then it's worth thinking about. Then budget approaches need to be sustainable in the long run. Yes, the approach that you take needs to be sustainable. Do not, again, overstretch or suppress yourself too hard in such a way that you're hardly breathing, right? Don't say that even if you bought sugar and it got finished on the 3rd week of the month, you will not buy sugar again. For that 1 week, you'll take sugarless tea or sugarless coffee. Be a little bit more flexible. Put some contingency amount somewhere that can actually take care of you when you have those emergencies or those unforeseen circumstances. Because sometimes even you get a whole lot of friends coming to visit you. Are you saying you are not going to make for them some tea just because sugar will get finished before time? So live a little bit more flexible life. And that's why I'm talking about the sustainability of this particular budget. It's got to be very realistic. Don't overstretch yourself. Don't stress yourself. Because if the money that you're saving is not enough, sometimes you can even negotiate with the service providers, or, if it's a loan you're paying, you can even renegotiate on installments of that loan to be able to pay a little bit less per month, depending on the circumstances. So yeah, that happened. In fact, in 2020, a lot of banks actually allowed people to pay a little bit less in installments per month, and they restructured the loans to actually extend the period to allow for that. So just think through each goal, each item, see how you can work out your savings, your investments, your debt repayments, your food and other necessities that you actually need. Sometimes, yes, when you're actually thinking through this, you can actually sit down with your, with your partner, with your, myself, sometimes I even share some of these things with my children. I'll be surprised. My 13-year-old has very useful ideas. She watches a lot of movies on YouTube, and she has quite some useful ideas, and I do love that. So some of those kids that we think they are too young, not nowadays. They have a lot that they can share. And in fact, in the process of sharing with them these ideas, we're able to mentor them, right? Or get an accountability partner. Yeah, if you have an accountability partner, that would be also an awesome thing. For me, when it comes to very huge ideas that I need to explore the future, I use my peer coaches. Yeah, I've got a lot of coaches that we have conversations once in a while, and we share ideas, we coach one another, and I'm truly enjoying that, and it's really helping in also building. So get an accountability partner if you can. And that is my advice. Don't die with those ideas in your head and getting troubled and frustrated if things are not working out. All right, it's pretty good. All right, this is a 50-30 rule illustrated, and I think I've shown you this before in another video. If you haven't seen it before, this is how it looks. Investments or savings that are 20% are to do with the education policies, T-bills and T-bonds, money market fund. We've talked about this. If you want to invest in real estate or your business growth. When it comes to needs or obligations, this is about rent, electricity, water, medical insurance, groceries, transport. That takes 50%. That is if you're on a low budget. Sometimes it's not 50%. It could even be less. If you're earning millions of Kenya shillings or 100K dollars per month, then definitely you cannot spend 50% per month unless you really have a huge family. Yeah. And then the wants are the travel, the movies, the hangout, dinner, and others. Just the things that you need to support others, because you don't live in isolation, definitely. You got to support your family, you got to support your colleagues, your comrades, or your acquaintances. So you just need to have a budget for that. And some things you got to say no, especially if they're abrupt and they cannot fit even on your contingency budget. So it's up to you to see how this 50-30-20 rule works for you. All right. The 8th step, remember we said you got to start from step 1 going all the way to step 10. The 8th step is about letting the numbers work for you. All right. Here you got to divide all expenses into different categories. And you got to be very detailed, very, very detailed, so that you know what goes to entertainment, what goes to bills, what goes to certain projects, or is for general use. It's up to you to know how to categorize. By the way, what you can do is just Google, find these categories, pick maybe top 5 to 7 that work for you, and allocate each one of them, because as we said, I think in step 4, when you look at your expenses, you'll be able to see the nature of expenses and which category they fall into. So once you start breaking them down here, you'll be able to see how to allocate each per month because we said you got to keep monitoring how you're spending your money. Even going forward, even if you set a budget, it's a working document. You got to go forward and start now tracking how you're using your money and comparing on your budget, seeing where you are. Maybe it's on 15th of the month and you've already exhausted a certain line of your budget. What are you going to do about it? What kind of adjustments are you going to do to be able to take care of that? Maybe there's something else that you planned to spend on, but you've not spent on. So you just move some cash into the other one. And that way you're going to start inculcating a very good culture in yourself of saving, investments, and good spending behaviors, all right? And you need to leave a contingency amount for unexpected events I've talked about, and set a spending limit for each category, right? And finally, ensure that the spending is in sync with your budget approach, and be very, very realistic, all right? So it may take a few weeks for you to come up with budgets if you've never done that before, but I think you'll be happy. It is good. Right now it's November. If you can actually start working on it between now, November, December, by January, you'll start, implementing that budget for yourself and actually track everything the whole year of 2022. And by the end of 2022, you'll be a master at this game and you'll be happy you did this. You'll be able to have achieved even a lot of things in your life. All right. Then be accountable. Stick to the budget as much as you can. You don't have to be supervised by anybody, really. In life, you got to set your goals and be your best, be at your best, and ensure that you're authentic to yourself, not to just the people who are watching you, all right? And then there are some tips that can help you stick to the budget. The envelope system is very old. It doesn't work anymore, where you used to put cash in various different envelopes and each envelope is labeled, this is for entertainment, this is for groceries and so on. That doesn't work anymore. We are online and everybody's online with their mobile banking, with their internet banking, with their statements from a bank account and so on. So what you need to do is automate those bills, especially that do not change in the number, in the amount. So, and in fact, sometimes even the utility bills, you can even pay a standard amount. If you know you pay $30 or $500 per month, and sometimes it's a plus, sometimes it's a minus, you can just automate that. And then the day perhaps it will spike a bit too high is maybe when you will add a little bit more. But if it ranges around a certain figure, you can automate almost everything. And then you need to track your expenses based on pre-established spending habits, because those are the ones that we're actually talking about. And then get an accountability partner, your spouse, your friend, and everything. So the accountability piece is very critical for you to maintain that, or the momentum that you start building, because initially it might look difficult because you've never done it before. But if you have somebody who is actually checking on you, or you're checking on each other, in fact, if somebody else is also doing what you're doing, then you're keeping on checking on one another, then that would be great. In fact, if you haven't watched my video on accountability, should you have an accountability partner? It's on YouTube, and please, you can click on it. You can search on it on my YouTube channel, and you'll be able to see about accountability partners and why you should have one, and so on and so forth. So this will definitely be able to help you start building a lifestyle that you're looking for. We talk about a fabulous lifestyle, and that is why this group is also called Fab Life. It's fabulous lifestyle influencers. You're influencing a fabulous lifestyle for yourself, for your children, for your friends and family. Yeah. And it doesn't need that, it doesn't require you to have billions and billions of dollars for you to be able to live that fab life. You can live a fab life with what you have. Because the moment you start budgeting and being very conscious and intentional in how you spend your money, you find yourself even you're happier person, and you're growing to be a more admired person, and you're going to influence people that are admiring your lifestyle. So it doesn't call for you to wait until you get billions of shillings. Even as a student, you can be very intentional on where you buy your trousers, your shoes, and your clothes, and the kind of life you're living, the way you're attending your classes, the way you're even doing a small side hustle, even when you're a student. And when you're even a friend start admiring you, and you're also building a character, a good character in yourself, you know, a person with good habits, not just money-wise, but also being focused in life. It starts when you're young. It won't start somewhere when you're age 35. If you've never done it before, you've been joking in life, it will be much harder to start when you're much older. So the earlier you start being a more intentional person in the way you live, the better for you. And finally, you've got to be reviewing this budget occasionally. As a minimum, you should review your budget at least once a month when you start off. But when you start off, perhaps you can do it fast, more often, maybe twice a month, every 2 weeks. So once you review your budget, check whether there's any room for improvement. And when you see some room for improvement, discuss with your accountability partner or your spouse and make sure that you agree on what adjustments need to be done, all right? And how those adjustments will look like, okay? And then you make the changes, all right? And then keep track of the trend of your spending, yeah? And then once you understand yourself very well, I'm sure that particular budget will start working for you. The only thing now you can do next is to now build your income, you know, several income streams, or even the job or the project that you're handling, make sure they're paying more. You can even increase your fee because now you understand your lifestyle, how much you need for what, and how you want to grow from year to year, right? You cannot be charging, if you're a consultant, you cannot be charging the same, you know, hourly fee this year and the next year the same hourly fee, and even 5 years to come is the same. No, you got to increase, adjust. There's inflation as well. Money doesn't, you know, the time value of money changes, as we spoke last time. So do a budget review as often as you can and make sure that you make adjustments intentionally where possible. Don't just be changing anytime and every time. You got to think through it and be very intentional. All right, so that has been the 10 points. But before I close this, I want you to understand that there's some mistakes that you need to avoid. Setting unrealistic expectations of yourself. It will never work. You'll even get frustrated. So be very careful what you're putting in as your budget, what you're putting in as your expenses, how you're minimizing the spend, how you're maximizing your income, you know, channels, or, you know, multiplying your income. Think through all that and get help where you can so that you can get it right. Okay? Because it can actually be frustrating if it's wrongly done. Failure to consider significant changes that were not anticipated, in e.g. repair and maintenance costs. That is why I'm talking about a contingency kind of a fund that can take care of some of the emergencies like repairs. Establishing a budget, right, based on gross instead of net salary. Yes, if you use the gross amount, ignoring the fact that there are some deductions that come, if let's say it's a salary, ignoring the fact that there are some deductions that come. For example, in Kenya, we have the National Housing Insurance Fund, we have the NSSF, we have the PAYE, you know, and I'm sure even many other countries, especially in Africa, we do have all those deductions that come. So you need to look at your net pay and work with that, not your gross pay. So some of those mistakes, please avoid them. And also, even when you're on your business, right? What are those taxes that you need to pay the government? Yeah, the corporate tax, you know, and all that. So you need guidance from a financial advisor. What are these things? Perhaps you need to first ensure they're all paid, all taxes they're paid, and all deductions, and then the debt that remains is what you kind of budget with. Some even too for business growth, for growing your business. Some is for your salary. We said if you don't pay yourself, start giving yourself a salary so that, well, that is where your groceries and other needs go to. And then others for other projects and so on. Just have all that broken down properly. And thank you so much for listening. So you just pick any 3 items that you've learned today and start improving them. But I would recommend that you take all these 10 steps sequentially and build a budget. If you have a machine, use an Excel sheet and start building on it. You can actually contact me if you're getting stuck. And also, if you are reviewing your expenses, you may also want to know what are these things you want to stop doing or change, all right? And as I said last time, you can actually download a free budgeting template from the comment section. So it's been great speaking with you, and thanks so much for watching this video. So that is it for now. There is nothing else I have to offer other than please subscribe to this channel because there's a lot coming up in a short while. All right. So that is it for now. Have a good evening. All right.